know what I want to tell you? The cross. The cross made you stronger. The cross is what strengthens us. What cross? You know, when many of us, we were dealt a hand that we had no control over. Most people in life dealt hands that they have no control over. Right? A lot of that I've come across. And sometimes when you are dealt a bad hand, you have no control over that, what you're dealt, but you have control over how you play it. And when you are a child of God, right, and you surrender your life to Him, taking upon His ways of doing things, you know, the hand that you were dealt may have been a bad hand, but you choose to keep going. You choose to keep, all right, you choose to keep going, not give up, not stay in that pity. You may have been dealt a bad hand of having both of your parents die at a young age. You could have been 9, 13 years old. I took a kid into my house one time, you know, when I worked the street. I worked the street for over 10 years, enforcing the laws of this land, really being a servant, being a servant. And there was a kid whose parents died at a very tender young age, and he was trapped in a place of depression. The mother, she loved her boys so much. She had 3 boys. One, he was very good at cutting hair. He was a barber. And he tried to make a way for his younger 2 brothers. One of the younger brothers, the middle one, he would work. And then the baby, it's like he wouldn't work. But he was only in his teenage years. So his older brother kicked him out of the house one night, you know, and he could have gone to jail for trespass and vehicle tamper and all of that. But when you walk in the Spirit of God and you get to the root of an issue, just because there's a law sometimes that folk may be in violation of, if you really want to help the situation, you know, you let the Spirit of God guide you and you help solve the problem. Putting a kid like that in the system who was just simply depressed and had nowhere to sleep, who was found sleeping in a car on a lot that was open, you know. Technically it was a jailable offense, but he really needed love. He really needed guidance. He really needed nurturing, you know. And the hand that he was dealt, he didn't know how to play that hand, you know. He didn't know how to play that hand. And I took him under my wings. I had people talking negative. Oh, you shouldn't take that boy in your house. He's 17 and he was a big, tall baby. No, you shouldn't do that. And, you know, boy running. You know, you hear people did all kind of chatter. That's why it's good to be spirit-led. Because if you're not spirit-led, people are so easy to be manipulated and pulled to the left and pulled to the right. They could be with you today. The minute they hear some chatter about you, they could just flip on you. They could fold their hands. You know, they ain't never been solid from the get-go. You know. But when you walk in the Spirit, you follow the Spirit. And there are going to be folk that don't like you because of that. But this kid didn't know how to play the hand he was dealt. So I took him under my wing. And that thing that had him boggled down, that depression, you know, I prayed for him. And I was stern with him, you know, fed him good, had somebody to stay, took him to, you know, let him stay at my home. I wasn't there because I was living in a different whole city, working in a different city, but I took him out of the environment he was in. God had blessed me to have a home in a whole nother city, and I went and let him stay there. And had someone there with him, you know, let him rest for some time, and then made him get up and learn how to do stuff. And he rebelled against me a little bit, but that was that little boy in him that had pain. And I am not a counselor, I'm not a teacher, I'm not nothing but a little country girl who read my Bible, who try to live a upright and honest life, try to treat folk the way I want to be treated. And I still make mistakes, and I still don't get everything right, and I still have a lot to learn. But I surrender myself to the Spirit of God so that He can use me. And He used me to nurture this big baby that was still broken. Still hurt at the fact that mom and daddy was gone, still mad at the world, or trying to be mad at the world. But I was able to encourage him, pray for him, love on him, and then push his big rump out to go and get a certification. He was so smart, he was so smart. He didn't finish high school, but he was always smart. And while I was looking into his background, because I heard so many negative things about him, but then when I met with the teachers, they were surprised to see an officer would go that far above and beyond my pay grade, my call of duty that I'm, obligated, that I've signed up to do. But they wanted to help me. And she said, oh, his mother, Miss So-and-so, I'm not going to say the name, she loved her boys. And I was like, wow. That was the first positive report I heard. They said she loved her boys. She got ill, And the father had died. And then shortly after the father died, the mother died. And she left her boys behind. And the oldest one, they struggled. And I met the oldest one. He's older. He was older than me. He was several years older than me. At that time, I was in my early 20s, And he was older than me. And he struggled, made some, hustled in the streets a little bit, but he tried to do what he could do. And the school gave me a good report of that kid. They showed his transcripts. He made good grades. And I said, well, he needs to get his GED. I'm going to pay for that. They said, well, no, we want to help you. They gave me a check. And they said, we'll schedule it and everything. And I told them, so I said, we'll come back down. So when I was off, I went up to my house, got him, brought him back to the city, took the test. The boy passed the test right then and there, aced it. Brilliant. See, you'll have folk, they don't know the cross. That some of us carry. See, God will use the foolish thing to confound the wise. And there'll be folk that will look at you. They don't know your credentials. They don't know all you've done. Or you may not even have credentials. You could just be a nobody from off the street, maybe. God will use the foolish thing to confound the wise. There'll be folk that don't like the way you move, don't like what you're doing. But you can't let that stop you from surrendering your spirit, yourself, to the Spirit of God. There are a lot of folk out here who've been dealt cards, who carry a cross that nobody knows about. Some folk carry that cross of being raped at a young age, not being protected by a mother who brought them into the world. Some folk carry the cross of not having nobody solid in their life that they can trust, that they can turn to the left or turn to the right and receive an encouraging word. And through that lack of, then God raises them up as an encourager. They know the feelings. They understand through their lack of. Their cross is what strengthened them. And that ties in with the saying that many people say your pain will push you to your purpose. But anyway, I'm not going to keep talking. I got to hurry me. I'm standing up here talking, drinking my coffee. I got to hurry me, get up out of here. People of God, the cross that you carry, you ain't always got to tell everybody unless you're led to what type of cross you're carrying, what type of cards you've been dealt. But don't ever stop surrendering to the Spirit of God. There are people who need what God has placed on the inside of you. there are people who need to benefit from the strength that you built up just by carrying your cross. You know, Joseph was dealt a cross. He had to carry a cross from the cards he was dealt. Many folk from biblical history to now, many of us are just living out or following, breaking patterns or becoming stronger from the past experiences of our ancestors. And we must do things, we must learn from them, learn from the letters that they have left us, and allow God to have his perfect way on the inside of us. And sometimes we don't know all how that's going to turn out to be in the end, or how it's going to continue to look, but day by day we get up and he renews the right mind and the right spirit in us. Then we have an obligation to keep going and keep surrendering to that Ruach HaKodesh. The cross has strengthened. Keep going.